How you doing, bud?
No bad.
What's your name, man?
Sandy.
Sandy, I'm Dale. Sandy.
How you doing, Dale?
Well, just some quick questions, Sandy. Can I ask you, do you trust the government?
No, the current one.
Aye.
The British one.
Yeah. Would you trust any governments?
I trust the Scottish government more than I trust the British or American ones. I trust the Canadian government more than I trust. But you know what I mean?
Aye. So, how do you discern? I mean, is there anything? Is there things that you do trust that come from the government?
From which government?
From, say, the British government.
The British government. No, because there's been far too many changes in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I can't see when Labour get in '96 and they started a Northern Ireland peace process. They gave Scotland a devolution referendum, and they arrested General Pinochet, and you just thought, good, everything's looking good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, things, and then they screwed it up by getting a business model for government, and then kind of laid the ground for the Tories to then come along and exploit what had been.
Yeah.
It's just getting worse and worse. I don't really.
So you know, in government there's a propensity for them to be telling lies and manipulate things. What about the American government?
What about them?
Trust them?
The current one? No. No, absolutely not. No, and it's a different thing. This government, I don't trust their motivation, and the American government, I don't trust their competence.
Yeah.
It's quite terrifying. It's quite terrifying, really.
I know. Can I ask you? Would you say you were a religious guy, or are you more kind of scientific minded?
I'm more philosophical minded.
Right.
I'm more kind of in between. I find religion has questions that are already answered. Science is
an ongoing
always asking questions, get an answer, ask another question, get an answer.
Well, that's a great...
Philosophy, you can never answer any of the questions, and so what you find out along the way while you're looking for an answer that you're not going to get, I find really, really valuable.
Yeah. So for me, this is the whole crux of what I'm up to. You know, I love science, and I'm into direct realism. For me, the core of science should always be based on empirical facts. So,
well, that's me as well, because that's what science does. Because I think that's what science is. It's an agreement. We agree what reality is. That doesn't mean it's reality.
Yeah.
That's just what we as human beings, because we human beings invented the concept of science. Yeah. Science is just an apparatus for understanding things. Yeah. The same as religion and the same as philosophy are all apparatuses for understanding things. So science is an apparatus for understanding things, and we agree what reality is, and it's probably the best one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the best one to choose, it's the best one to defer to.
Aye, because if I say to you, you know, there is an objective truth, there is an objective reality, would you agree with that?
An objective reality? Well, no, as a philosopher, no.
Well, if I was to drop that table on your head, it would crush your skull.
It would hurt,
right.
Yeah.
So that's objectively true.
But that's my perception of what pain is. I don't know what other benefits there are to that pain.
Yeah.
Because science continually discovers new things. See, all the science for 1,000 years ago, forget it. So what's going to happen 1,000 years from now? Maybe dropping this table on my head will hurt, but it will also give me a bigger cock. You know, who knows what we'll discover.
Is that wishful thinking?
And things like, and you can't argue, and that's why you can't argue, you know, when scientists say to religious people, where's your proof and all that? Well, faith doesn't need proof. Faith doesn't require proof.
Yeah.
You can't argue. Faith, I find it fascinating that people of faith and people of science argue with each other using, it's like you throwing a tennis ball at my cricket bat, you know, you're having completely different arguments. Science, and I don't understand creationism, because you've already got your faith, so you don't need proof. You know, and with science it's like, well, you don't need faith, but actually you do. Because I just need to believe what Isaac Newton says.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a student of physics. I just have to defer to someone.
Exactly, and that's exactly my point. So when it comes to these types of things like Isaac Newton and these types of thought processes, a lot of the stuff would depend on we take on hearsay. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So just as you were saying there, and you know, for me, I base things on direct realism, what I can directly experience for myself. So here's the thing that I'm going to get at a point. If I was to say to you that there's a serious doubt in regards to the Earth being a ball flying about the vacuum of space, what would you think of that?
I would think it's far too late for that argument.
You would think it was far too late
for that argument, because there has been so many investigations for hundreds and hundreds of years, I would defer to.
Well, what if I
to
say to
that.
you, there's a huge movement happening now of people waking up all over the world from all walks of life, from academia to the common man, who are really doubting what they've gave us. I mean, are you aware that there is no actual real video or actual photographs from space?
Is that a fact?
Well, you know, I've searched long and hard. If you go to Google Images right now, you will find maybe 2 images that they claim are real images of the ball from space.
So it's just claimed that they're
well, that's
real.
it. You know, it's a private institution.
Well, as a student of philosophy, I would say everything's in. You can doubt anything. You can doubt everything. I can doubt that you're sitting there.
Yeah.
I can doubt everything. So what you have to do is show deference. And as far as I'm concerned, the Earth is a ball.
So
Because I defer to the things that I've learned so far.
So you would say it was based on hearsay? You've never actually experienced the Earth as a ball
No.
with your own eyes?
No, because I can't. It's impossible to do that.
Yeah.
Even
So-
if you're taking a photograph of space, you would. I suppose they've got cameras that you can zoom right around now. But no, when it comes to science, I defer to people who I think know what they're talking about within science.
Do you think that's dangerous though?
No,
No, do you not think it's better to
No,
base
I think
things on
it's-
your direct experience?
I think it's no, because if I drew the number 6 right here, you would see a number 9. Now I know it's a 6 because my intention was to draw a 6, but you would look and you would see a 9, and until I explain to you that that's a 6, you're going to go, well, I see a 9, mate. But I drew it with the intention of drawing a 6.
Yeah.
Your direct experience is a 9, so you wouldn't believe that that was a 6,
Yeah.
even though I'm telling you that's what I drew. So that's why your own direct experience can often let you down.
Yeah, until you analyse and you come to understanding and have
Until
that
you look
discussion.
at it from my perspective,
exactly.
then you can go, oh, right, well, the guy told me he intended to draw a 6.
Yeah.
So it is a 6, even though you're looking at it from a 9 position.
So if I was to say to you, what shape's the horizon?
I couldn't tell you that. I'm not studied enough.
Well, when you look
I
at
would have to guess.
the horizon, what do you see?
So what you're saying, what is my perspective
Yeah.
from where I'm standing?
Yeah.
My perspective from where I'm standing, the horizon. Right, I assume you're talking across a seascape.
Yeah.
Right, well, you would say it's flat.
Okay.
Right.
So if I was to
From
then,
my perspective.
so if I was to then say to you, if I went to natural physics and fluid mechanics, and I was to say to you that for me, you know, if I established that my most accurate measuring tool and the most accurate measuring tool known to man for establishing a level is water, would you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't know if I could agree with that or no. I would
Well-
again. I would have to defer to somebody because I've not studied.
Have you ever seen convex bodies of water?
No.
If I says to you that water is formless, water can take the shape of its container and the surface will always be horizontal, would you say that's your everyday experience of water on Earth?
I wouldn't say it's my everyday experience of water on Earth. I would just say it's what I guess
Yeah.
from what I can see and the boats I've been on and
Yeah.
and experiments I did in school
Well,
20 odd years ago.
You get up in the morning, you make a cup of tea, you have a
Oh, right, I
wash,
see
you
what
have
you
a
mean.
bath.
Any water, not just bodies of water like
Just
the loch.
any water. Well, you can get
Yeah,
surface
you don't
tension.
get
and you
water like
yeah, or
like
mounded
that
up.
you're talking about.
Water's not got the ability to support itself to display shapes upon its surface. So if we go into any body of water and we submerge a shape under that body of water, you will never see a silhouette of that on the top of the water
Yeah.
because it's formless. It can't take the shape of the underside.
Yeah, the stuff that's containing it's got a form though.
Of course it has. So that's
So
what
as
I would-
gravity pulls the water down, it's within the shape and it'll always sit because it's liquid.
well, you know, gravity is another one of these things that are theories that have never been defined or proven. You know, it's
Well,
fact.
that's I've actually said that to my pals once when I was a teenager and in my 20s. I used to argue with a lot of religious people who told me I had a good Christian attitude.
Yeah.
Because I like Christian philosophy and I like Jesus, what has been written about Jesus Christ. I just don't believe in divinity.
Right.
The divinity doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm not having it.
Yeah.
But the intention of Christianity, the intention that doesn't actually get played out these days.
Well, I've heard that said before. It's a good idea. When are they going to put it into practice? You know?
It's so I actually like that, and I would argue. And then 20 years after that, you know, and most recently, I've had exactly the same arguments with people who are almost like fashionable atheists,
Yeah.
and
New Age.
empirical scientific type people.
Well, so they think.
Not so much New Age. More people that the people who subscribe to the I fucking love science page. You know, as if like, well, what's not science? You know.
Well, that's
You know, so I had the same arguments with them because I saw the same obstinacy and I saw the same
exactly
kind of.
same with me.
So and my philosophical position was really understood.
Yeah. Well, you seem very similar to me, and I experienced that myself through like speaking to creationists, evolutionists, these types of people. You know, I call them New Age atheists. There's certainly new waves of them in the last 15.
Evangelists, I was calling them.
Aye, that's a good term for it. But they don't even recognise there's a separation between natural science and formal science. Formal science, you know, mathematics is a formal science. It's a language.
Yeah,
it's a language that's
an apparatus that we created
to
exchange
explain
ideas.
and, you know, show, you know, direct reality, actual substance.
Yeah.
Now, when we get into the realms of big bangs and abiogenesis, life from you know, non-living matter, all these things can never be recreated or shown. So for me, it's no scientific, because if you make a claim to me about reality, you should be able to recreate it, you should be able to show it. Would you agree with that?
If you make a claim about reality, you should be able to back it up.
Aye.
Well, I agree with that in the sense that you should back up any claim you make.
Exactly.
Particularly in science. I mean, if you say, oh, there's God, obviously you can't back that up. But then again, you don't need to, because it's faith.
Yeah.
And faith doesn't require backup.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I have faith. So if it is in the scientific realm, then you should back it up. But the thing is, there's a difference between somebody making a claim about someone and someone positing a theory about something.
Yeah. A hypothesis or a theory. Yeah. But
so positing a theory isn't making a claim of reality.
Yeah, but you would still need to pursue that in order to falsify or verify. So going back to my water thing, you know, for me, I don't need to have faith that I know that liquid has a definite physical properties to it. It behaves and it obeys certain physical laws. We have used it to construct for thousands of years. We depend on it every single day. So if I was to say to you, you know, understanding that one fundamental fact of reality, for me that totally debunks the claim that we live on a spinning ball flying about the vacuum of space.
I don't think it does completely debunk it.
Well,
I don't really think it does.
If I was to say to you then, could you give me one practical example of a body of water displaying convexity? Do you think you could show me that?
I can't give you that.
Yeah.
Because I'm an artist who works part-time in a cafe.
Yeah.
And so
but basing things on your everyday experience of reality, that's what I'm more interested in.
Oh right, I see. Well, my everyday experience of reality will differ from somebody else's reality window. I mean, we can look at 3 different maps: a weather map, a physical map and a political map, and we're looking at exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's completely different.
Well, you've got your subjective take on these things, which is true.
And you can't. It's difficult to separate that from your objective take, because everything means something different to you.
Yeah.
You know, and what people say is that a lot of people say, you know, opinion doesn't matter. You know, don't bring opinion to a fact fight. But opinion, it can be translated as everyday experience. You know, and the study of water is something that I haven't looked into. So some of your questions I can't answer.
Yeah.
So I can only say based on my own experience. I can't tell you what I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I've seen, but I can't tell you what I haven't seen. I haven't seen green elephants either.
Well, neither have I, and if somebody claims to me that green elephants are true, I need to see the green elephant before I believe it. So based on, you know, going back to you saying, you know, you're philosophical, for me I was the same, but there would be a huge difference if I'm trying to reason or philosophise from a point of view of assuming or believing that I live on a globe flying through the vacuum of space that was created by a big bang or a big expansion. You know, my philosophy is then, you know, based on that assumption, right? Because I'm trying to reason from that assumption. If that's no true, your philosophy would change, would it not? If I was to say to you, the Earth is stationary, the Earth is level, and it is a created environment, would your philosophy then, in your mind, then start to think differently about life?
Because it would. Well, what it would say is, you would put that. To me, that's a thought experiment, and you would put that to me, and I would say, well, okay, well, what would be the consequences of that? How would it work? What does that mean for 1,000-year global conspiracy to make us believe this certain thing.
So they say 1,000
you know,
years. Well,
so what? I mean, 1,000 years of since Copernicus started to measure the planets and stuff like that. So is that? Then I would have to take on the fact that there's been thousands of years, generation upon generation, from people that are long dead to make us believe this.
Yeah.
If
it's been going on for thousands of years, but again, we come to conjecture and hearsay because we're taking things from written books.
That maybe Man in the High Castle type stuff, like it's only been the past 30 years that someone has created all this history.
Or,
like 1984,
last 100
memory
years, since NASA was created, since that time.
Well, I couldn't realistically argue with that because I was born in 1970.
Yeah.
So I'd have to believe that my grandfather lied to me.
Well, I wouldn't say. See, this is the thing.
Or he was taken in, or she was.
I didn't lie to my kids. See, this is the thing that people think. Everybody would have to be lying. What if people are just misled? If you're born into,
Well, I have been misled in that. I thought that my great grandfather was called Carson Nielsen from Kristiansand. My brother did the family tree, and it turns out we're all through Ireland and back up to Norway, 700-800 years ago.
Yeah.
So somebody in my family made up a story about this beautiful story about Carson Nielsen coming from Kristiansand and meeting an Irish girl in Glasgow, changing his name to Charles Nelson because of the First World War and to sound more British, and it was all bullshit.
Yeah.
So there was a complete family story that we all believed. So there is stuff that you could all believe.
Yeah, and if you're getting born into say this culture, you go to the education, the universities, they tell you what to teach. You have to pass through their grades. So people, people are no willingly lying. You wouldn't say that. People can be misled.
Somebody has to be.
Yeah. Well, this is a point.
Are you talking about maybe it's been going on so long that it's wildfire and we just?
Well, it's never went away. This whole question of what the shape of the Earth is has never really gone away. It's always.
But but see, when it comes to that, and I'll conclude here if that's all right, because I need to get back in.
No problem.
But when they asked Empedocles whether or not God existed, when the ancient Greeks were all discussing whether or not God existed, it was not Empedocles. Epicurus.
Epicurus, yeah.
Said are far more important things to be concerned about than whether or not God exists.
Yeah.
So I find, from my philosophical position, from the way my life is formed, I have to say to you that I've got far more things to be concerned about than whether or not the Earth is flat or round.
Yeah.
So I think there's because see, in the end, it really wouldn't matter to me whether it was flat or round,
right.
Because we're all still doing the same thing, and I've still got the same struggles and same problems, same desires, same fears, and same responsibilities to my children, same responsibilities to my community. Mm-hmm. So whether or not the Earth is round or flat,
but in a psychological sense, if we don't have proper grounding, and we're basing our reasoning on a false premise.
I'm not kidding you. I am not kidding you when I say it probably wouldn't make any difference to me if the news came out tomorrow that the world was flat, scientifically proven.
There's many people who think the same.
I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still going to believe, because I have to believe, I have to defer to science the same way as a person has to defer to a higher being.
So it's a belief system.
So I think that science is we have to agree. You can't actually prove anything.
Yeah, we have to base things on objective reality in order to agree.
We have to agree, right? Yeah. That something is. That's what peer review is all about. Prove, disprove. We have to agree on what reality is. Yeah. And I'm happy to agree that the Earth is round. But if we found out tomorrow it was flat, it really wouldn't make much difference to my life.
Do you think that based on this conversation you'll maybe contemplate it a wee bit or have a look into it?
I probably wouldn't. But I'll tell you this, as a child of philosophy, I'll probably think about a lot of other things because of this conversation.
Excellent.
So even though you've raised a conversation about that particular subject, I'll probably go away and think about indirect things, not particularly the water thing or the flat earth thing, but there's probably a lot of things that I'll think about that as a result of this conversation.
Excellent.
Which is why I think philosophy is a good way to go.
One quick other thing, do you believe they went to the moon in the 60s?
Do I believe it? I'm in a position where I want to come up with a different answer.
Yeah.
Because you've created the reality of this conversation. Yeah. You've created an apparatus for this conversation. So I'm trying to answer within that apparatus. Yeah. But I would say, yes, I believe it. But if you told me tomorrow it was a hoax, and there was proof, I would believe that too.
So it's
and
great.
again, it wouldn't really make much difference to
Well,
my life.
I love your honesty, man, and that's what I was looking for. I really appreciate your honesty, and that's it. You know, some people it doesn't matter to them. You know, what does
Middle
matter
age
to
and
them.
philosophy has taught me to
Ease up.
just to look at things through different perspectives. That's my boss.
I thought you were working today.
I was working, but I'm just trying to get some advertising for the Three Villages Pit Stop Cafe.
Free advertising.
For his 25,000 YouTube viewers. It's
Listen,
in
buddy.
Arica.
Well, I really appreciate the conversation.
bother.
Much respect
See you
for your
later.
honesty. Thank you, bud.
Cheers.
So, anybody who's out, the bikers, I'm sure many in Scotland will know it. Three Villages Pit Stop, and we're in Arica. So,
What should we say?
so hi guys, how you doing? My name's Dale.
Hi,
Dale.
Patricia.
Patricia.
Nice meeting you.
Will.
Will, how you doing, Will?
All right.
What I do is I do street interviews and stuff and ask people questions about the world we live in and things like that.
Yeah.
If I was to say to you, government loves you, government always tells you the truth, government has your best interests at heart, what would you say to that?
I'm not even Scottish, so I prefer not to talk about politics.
Not to talk about politics.
No politics, no religion.
Excellent. So I love science. I love natural science. Do you like science yourself?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the question of what shape the Earth is? Are you aware of this ongoing discussion that's happening in regards to the shape of the Earth?
No.
Do you?
What's the discussion?
What's the discussion?
Well, there's many people. There is many people who are debating and discussing whether the claims and what they're telling us in regards to the Earth being a ball
All right.
in space. There's people questioning whether that's actually true. Have you ever considered it?
Yes, and it brings me great joy and amusement. I think it adds to the gaiety of the nation that we have window lickers, mouth breathers, and conspiracy theorists. I'd just like to say the moon landings aren't true either. 9/11, Jews, all Jews.
Oh, absolutely.
And do you want to say anything about? Let's get into politics now. Okay.
Okay, let's.
Princess Nicola
Yeah.
should be the royal family of Scotland. Alex Salmond should be the first president of Scotland. I think it would be a marvellous thing if Scotland got independence.
That's right.
I think it would be great because it would instantly become a banana republic. And that means in England the taxes, our tax relief would probably be an extra 10p in the pound because we wouldn't be paying for Scotland anymore. Yeah. So there's your politics. You answer that now.
So, in regards to the Earth not being a globe, if I asked you if I
It's
could,
not a globe.
so you agree then that there is a question to be answered?
Well, I think it's been answered in that it's a slightly flattened sphere with a bulge at the equator because of the centrifugal forces.
So on a plate spheroid,
The way, something like that.
a plate spheroid.
And I would tend to go with the kind of less is more explanation. So
Have you ever experienced the Earth as a globe? Have you ever seen that with your own eyes?
no, but I don't need to have full empirical proof to believe things.
So if I was to pan round here right now and we were to look at that right there, water, and if we go to natural science, fluid mechanics,
Yeah.
we understand that water doesn't have any shape, it doesn't have any form, it will take the shape of its container, the surface will always be horizontal and flat. Would you agree with that?
No.
You wouldn't?
Good, go on.
What would you say?
It's too difficult for me to interact about these subjects in English.
What language do you speak?
Italian.
Italian.
Speak it. Go on then. Seriously.
I think he's a bit of Italian. I
Go
would-
on.
Please, once again the question so I can go on in Italian because it was your accent is really hard for me. So
Well, yeah, I'll try and clean up my speech a wee bit. You know, when I look into science and I go to fluid mechanics,
okay.
you know, I established that the most accurate measuring tool that I could find in order to find out, you know, the shape of the Earth was water. Because I know that water, you know, we've used it for levelling and construction for, you know, millennia. And it has definite physical properties, it has a definite physical behaviour to it. Now that behaviour is that water will take the shape of a container, like a cup, a bowl, a sink, a swimming pool. The surface will always be horizontal. It doesn't have the ability to support itself, to display shapes upon its surface. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, would you agree with that, what I've just described there?
Yeah, now I do agree.
Yeah.
Okay, now I understood.
So that one fact alone, if they say the Earth is covered 80% in water, and we know how water behaves, how then could we be living on a ball?
Whoa. How can we be living on a ball? That's a good question.
When you look out to the horizon, you know the horizon, what shape do you see?
What shape do I see?
What shape? What shape is the horizon?
It's flat because we are not. Oh, it's kind of complicated. We are not looking to a like. It's just a part of the horizon, of course. So it's impossible to see the round,
the curve,
the bend,
the curve. There's many people who are looking for the curve.
It's terrible.
So do you believe that what they show you on the TV in regards to the Earth being a globe, do you actually believe that?
Yeah,
to be
I
true?
do believe it.
Can I ask you why you believe it?
Because if the ground was flat, at a certain point we should go like
over
falling down over the edge, like you know.
But why would you think there would have to be an edge?
Because it should finish in some point, don't you think so? Because we arrive, because from one point you can go and to arrive to the other part.
So
it must be round.
Yeah,
no?
but if we go round and, you know, like a circle like that would be circumnavigation.
No, it wouldn't be circumnavigation. It would be navigation from a point to the other.
Well, if I go around you like this.
Yeah, this is circumnavigation.
Yeah, I would call that circumnavigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have never seen circumnavigation from north all the way down to south, right up and back to north again.
I never asked myself this kind of question.
I know that it's difficult, the accent and the language, but have you ever considered that, you know, what they tell you, that it might not be true?
This one I really think it's true. Why shouldn't we? Like all the physical demonstration that they made to prove it are truth now. So it's one of the theory I wouldn't discuss. I just think
you just take it for granted. You believe
No,
it?
I don't take it for granted. I'm not able to explain it now, but I understood it. Like there are physical principles that explains why the globe is round.
It's because that the current explanations that we accept best explain how we see the world. So we don't need to introduce. The more information we get, the less magic there is in the world. Because was once magic, now becomes known through empirical data, which is data that you can see and measure and feel. So, if you like, these notions from other people, in English it'd be called a conceit, and I think it's similar in French. I don't know any Italian, but it's a conceit, which means that it's a self-indulgence to play a game. It's like Descartes, cogito ergo sum. You know, I think therefore I am.
Yeah.
How do I know I exist? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That was quite, if you like, back then it was a major issue because people were tormented about where did it come from and did God that someone had to make us, there had to be a God figure because we didn't know enough. Even now with science, I do believe that people say science and God are incompatible. But no, because you'll always come back to what kicked it all off.
Exactly.
And that gives you, and I think this is a good thing, that there's still enough space left in this world of hard knowledge to have a little bit of mysticism or magic or God. By the way, for the record, I am an atheist. And if you like, I think we can explain things. And
have you ever seen life coming from non-living matter? Have you ever seen life jumping into existence from nowhere?
No, because the current if you like, models which seem plausible to me don't suppose that.
Yeah. So if I went to science and I was to describe what my understanding of science is based on empirical facts,
it's
so
repeatable observation,
repeatable observations. So when we get back again to asking about the questions, if somebody claims to me the Earth is a round ball in a vacuum flying endlessly through space, straight away, as I said before about the liquid aspect, I look at liquid and fluid mechanics and understand how that behaves. Now that one observation for me contradicts wholly that we cannot be living on the exterior of a sphere.
Why is that?
Because water does not conform to the exterior of objects.
Water does not conform to the one factor you're missing is that you've got to factor in centrifugal force, gravity, or gravitational force as well.
Well, gravity, could you define it and then offer a practical example of gravity?
I couldn't actually, and sort of Newton's a better man than me, and well, I wouldn't be able to understand. So you have to proselytise yourself to a hierarchy like a priesthood and believe in what they offered you, would you know? If I bring it back to me and you as individuals, as just two men speaking to each other, and I asked you, if I asked you, could you prove to me that the Earth was a globe? What would you come up with in order to I wouldn't.
prove it?
It's not something I'd be bothered wasting my time arguing over. It's just that it's sort of.
Well, science isn't an argument; it's a discussion. It's
but I mean, it's not sort of. I suppose it doesn't. It doesn't interest me enough to have that discussion. I think there's more interesting things. There's more intriguing aspects to talk about than something that's so fundamental. And if a person has difficulty with relating to the socialised reality that's being created with all its rules and whys and wherefores, it's not really. I'm not on that wavelength, and my life's too short to be wasting time.
Totally appreciate that.
Talking about that. I mean, it's like sort of the old.
Cheers, guys.
How many angels can dance in the head of a pinroll? St. Augustine. Lovely chat in a castle in the 12th century, but today it's not really relevant to me. Yeah. So do you think it would be important if we're trying to rationalise and come up with a reason for existence and who we are and why we're here, if we... Perpetuation of our DNA.
Well...
There you go. Meaning of life. And what was that wise man once said to me, if you're worried about the meaning of life, what you want to do is go without food. If you're still wondering about the meaning of life, what you want to do is give up your shelter. And if you're still wondering about the meaning of life, sort of give away all your clothes, then you'll start wondering about the meaning of life.
Yeah. Well, interesting philosophy. But I appreciate you speaking to
pragmatic.
me.
It's a pragmatic approach. So I'm afraid I don't have a very romantic view of existence.
Well, I'm pretty much the
same.
No.
I think we need dreamers, and we need the off-centre approaches to life, because obviously that's testing, isn't it? I mean, sort of I'm standing here sort of saying, oh well, this is what I believe, but you always need a balancing point of view. I think the only thing that worries me is kind of asymmetrics, in that these days, certainly sort of, I don't know, you'll see that in the media, you'll see things like views are always treated equally, no matter how barmy one of them might be. Now, so this asymmetry is about worrying, because there isn't a parity going on at all.
I would disagree a wee bit there.
No, it's fine.
Because what I've witnessed in my 3 years involved with this subject is that science has become very dogmatic and you're met with serious
Can be humorless. I agree with that.
You're met with serious opposition when you try to, question the validity of claims like we live in a vacuum on a globe flying through infinite space. And for me, science should never be closed. It should never be dogmatic. It should always be welcome and open to question. Would you agree with that?
To an extent, as I say, I'm getting back to this asymmetrical approach, in that everything's given sort of parity. So you'll have a person, the conspiracy theorists, come up with something really wacky about some major
the Earth's not a globe.
That's yours. As I say, that's kind of a bit, well, not true, but you get an interpretation of some major catastrophe or something really horrible happening, and you always get a conspiracy theorist, because they come out with something so atypical. They get kind of airspace. So you get a person who's well informed about whatever the event is, and they will be treated just the same as the person who knows nothing, but comes up with something totally wacky and off the wall, because, well, that sort of sells things. I mean, a bit like this
sensationalism.
I'm sure you'll get plenty of people, well, all spectrums of thought, and some will be more entertaining than others. I imagine the more practical, commonsensical people won't be as interesting as, shall we say, the guys that come out with we're not living in a globe.
Well, would you say that you base your life, you trust your common sense, you trust your senses?
I trust my senses in as far as I'm...
Well, you got here the day you dressed yourself, you got here on the bike, you rolled that cigarette, you're managing to... nearly managing to light it.
It's got to spend more on gas than having tobacco.
So for me, I would say our senses can be trusted. There is an objective reality here, something that we can...
No, that's interesting. Because I think, take your side in this. There's a measurable reality, but unfortunately, if you want to get into all the wacky stuff, we moderate our measurement, our empirical data, with our senses, our sensory perceptions, which are always subjective, because we're filtering them back into our brain.
Which is why we share them with each other.
It's scary, actually, now that you've brought it up.
Well, there is an object. If I was to pick up that slab and drop it on your head,
I'd feel it.
You would feel it, and you would probably die. You would crush your skull.
Thank you. That's good to know.
So there is a separation. For me, there is an objective truth. There is an objective reality here. And for me, that's what the core of science is. It's how do we establish what the objective reality actually is.
That's causality you're talking about.
Well,
that's the repeatability. So if you sort of, event B can only happen in the presence of event A, event B being the skull is crushed, and event A is that the rock was dropped on that skull. So you're looking at the causal chains there, and I think that's what science is more about. Again, it's this repeatability and testing, so that things will happen in a certain sequence. But I take entirely your point that I suppose the realms of science that look into the wilder side, for me anyway, would be all this quantum physics and sort of all this stuff.
Same as gravity.
In my head.
Gravity.
Exactly. Once you start poking into gravity, it's all sort of kind of a wee
wishy-washy.
You get to a point where it sort of kind of peters out. Dare I say evolution as well? But these are the things These are the things I buy into, though.
Yeah, well, evolution is another part of this dramatic part of science for me. It's not recreatable, it's not observable in any way, shape or form.
You're a creationist then?
Nope.
You're not religious in any way, shape or form?
Direct realist.
Direct, okay.
So, I base things on my direct experience and what I can experience and test and measure for myself. And there is absolutely zero proof, there's zero measurable proof that the Earth is actually a sphere. The only thing that's out there is the institutions like NASA and these other space agencies who show us on a TV screen that that's what the Earth is. Would it surprise you if I said that every one of these images we see are composite images, they're not actual photographs?
Composite? They're digitised.
So they say they take slices and then they blend them together and then they fill in the gaps.
I'm comfortable with that because that's what that's doing at the moment. So I'm comfortable with that technology. So and the original photographs, so they were stills. They were the old sort of chemical reaction stuff.
But if I was to come to you with photographs and I says, look here, I've got pictures of Nessie, or I've got pictures of me with Superman, would you take it as scientific?
No, but I would take it and smile a lot and go, "You're good with Photoshop."
Yeah, well, the same is then true. For me, we have to, especially in today's day and age of manipulation through video and images, I would have to remove that from the equation, and let's get back to measurement, actual tangible stuffs, rather than depending on an image from an institution or a photograph from an institution. Because for me, you're getting a wee bit religious there. I'm totally opposed to religion. I think beliefs should be eradicated, and people should get back to direct realism.
Where do you get your dreams from then?
Well, dreams are subjective. It's a totally different thing. These things are great, but what I'm interested in is this space that we share right now that I call objective reality, and how we go about establishing what that actually is. And as I say, for me, I have found absolutely zero proof that the Earth is actually a globe.
Right, and how does that affect your life?
Well, it affects my life. I'm a philosopher, I'm a contemplator, I'm a deep thinker. So if for 37 years of my life, I assumed totally true that I lived in a globe, flying in space, blah blah blah. So for me to then try and rationalise and reason from that assumption, when I realise that, well, if I take that assumption, that foundation away, and it may be something else, my reasoning, my rationality, my philosophy, it changes. I start to entertain different possibilities. If I believe I'm on a limited space, a small globe flying through the infinite vacuum of space, my reason's limited.
But you're not in a limited space, there's an infinite space at the moment.
So space is infinite?
Yeah.
Well,
according to the
here's the thing.
Cosmologists,
So
that's all speculation. I agree with you.
If I go back to science again, and somebody claims to me, you can have a negative pressure system, i.e. a vacuum, and a positive pressure system, the atmosphere that we're experiencing right now, and those two can exist side by side without a solid separation. When I go to actual practical everyday science, we need a solid barrier between two opposing pressure systems in order for them to exist, or they will equilibrate. But you have these institutions telling us that that's the reality up there.
Yes, but I think not wanting to get into the whole debate about it, but
no.
I think you've got to factor in other factors apart from just negative and positive pressures, because you'll have mitigation such as the effects of gravity, you'll have the effects of movement, kinetic energy again. And all that. Not at all, they're not postulates, they're all part of the mechanics. Well, and that's Newtonian universe. That was done 500 years ago.
See, if I asked you why a helium balloon rises, what would your answer be?
It's lighter than air.
Right. So where's gravity? Would you call a helium balloon an anti-gravity device?
No, not at all. Because that's confusing how helium behaves with gravity as a fundamental category area or error, in that helium is a lighter than air gas. If you like, air in this instance is the parity. So where you have air, you have equilibrium in terms of balance and movement. Where you have gases that are heavier than air, such as carbon monoxide, for example, that'll tend to be acted upon more by, say, gravitational forces than air. If you have helium, which is a lighter than air gas, that'll be less affected by gravitational force of any mass. So, if you like, the one thing I don't want to get into debating about it because I don't know enough.
No, it's not. It's not a debate. This is a problem. Debates for me are when people are putting ideas to each other. Again, objective science, real reality.
But certainly,
can all be discussed.
Certainly, things like vacuum and space and all that carry on. And why doesn't our atmosphere get sucked into space or whatever? In terms of the equilibrium, is gravitational forces again that would pull the mixture of gases. And one of the things I've always marveled at is, you see, looking at life on Earth and all that carry on, it seems that certainly for this particular life form that we have here, you have a certain very, very narrow window of necessary heat, combination of gases and elements, etc, etc, etc. So that's why we don't have life on Mars and we don't have life on Venus, which is the planets on either side.
Do you believe that
us.
they are actual terra firma? Mars, Venus, these. Why do you believe that?
Because it's plausible. Certainly in my worldview it's plausible,
Would you say then it's a belief system you have?
Of course.
Yeah. And is it based on what you were taught and educated in through your youth and your education?
I would say it's my predisposition predisposition.
Yeah. Would you ever consider questioning the validity of any of these things?
No, because I would question the validity more of, say, political systems or physical systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would concern me more.
Yeah. Well, each to their own, you know. This is my endeavour, this is my journey, you know.
No,
what I'm interested in,
I wish you all the very best.
Excellent.
And I go and plug your video thing because I need to. I want to look at it. I'll be checking out
of
your
course I
website
will
now.
do.
It'll be interesting.
My YouTube channel is called Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
YouTube channel Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
And what I do there, I do many street interviews. I go live on a Saturday night. We invite anybody who thinks that they could come and prove to us that the Earth is actually a sphere and a vacuum.
And what's your video feed or your YouTube channel called?
Beyond the Imaginary Curve.
That is it.
That is it.
Well,
Beyond
that's
the
great.
Imaginary
I will
Curve.
look forward to seeing you.
The reason it's called that is because there is absolutely zero
beyond
curvature. Well, we experience life as flat.
I'll see you in space.
Thank you very much,
my man. Inverary now.
Appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. Okay. Good crap.
Loch Lomond. Loads of curvature. A big hump right there in the water, I see that. Found the curve. What about you, sir? Have you heard of the flat earth? What shape's the earth, my man? Get more sense out of you than half the people out of there. I got two lovely gents here that are having a convo with me. What's your name, sir?
Phil Wicks.
Phil.
Adrian Bingham.
Adrian, I'm going to come round here so I'm not spinning. So just in passing there I had says, you know, have you ever noticed how flat the earth seems to be? What do you think about that? Yeah.
It's not flat with the hills over there though, is it?
No, of course not. Of course not. See, people have got this common misconception that flat means like a table or a... You know, obviously we've got high points and low points, but we seem to be judging that by sea level.
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
Aye.
If you look out in certain places, you can actually see a bit of curve on the horizon on a sunny day.
Or do you think you're seeing curve?
I think it's probably a lot of that, yeah.
Aye.
Probably because we know the Earth to be round.
Or do you believe it to be round?
Someone's done some bloody good photoshopping and pictures from space if it isn't round.
Well, this is the thing, you know that there's no actual photographs. There's no actual photographs of the Earth from space. They're composite images. Do you know that?
Get out.
Honestly. Honestly.
Well, there was this program with James May when he went up as far in the plane, as high as you could go physically with the plane.
Yeah.
And then you saw the pictures from him there, which virtually showed
do you know what a fisheye lens is?
Yeah.
You know what a fisheye lens is?
Yeah.
So we've got many people who are sending up like balloons and high altitude things. You know, there's a certain balloon footage I've seen that goes to 121,000 feet, and it's not got a GoPro fisheye lens in it, and the horizon is still flat. So there's like an anomaly. There seems to be a bit of contradiction with these images that people are getting from high altitude.
I would say that when James May was when he was up there, that was, you know, there's a type of guy who I would think would be sort of want to show anything different in a different light and everything, like, you know. So he was up there, you know. He said, you know, the pictures you had there was very much showing.
What if I said there was an accurate tool that would show us beyond any shadow of a doubt that we don't live on a globe? Would you be willing to listen to it? An accurate measuring tool.
There was an accurate measuring tool.
Aye.
Called what?
Water.
Water, yes.
So we know in physics that water's not got the ability to hold itself and conform to the exterior of shapes. You know, if I explained that bodies of water on Earth and in physics and science, they'll take the shape of their container. The surface will always be flat, horizontal. Would you agree with that? Like these 2 pints you're having right now,
Yeah,
we know they're contained
yeah.
Yeah.
and the surface is flat. If I was to dip a sphere into that, do you think you would see the silhouette of the sphere on top of the water or the liquid?
Well, it would sink down so far, wouldn't it? Depends on
Depends what it's made of.
Yeah, because if you've got a sphere that's made of air, it's not going to sink, is it? Or anything? It's just
Well,
gonna sit on the
if
top.
it was dense enough to sink,
It would do, yeah.
you wouldn't see the silhouette of the sphere on top of the water, would you?
No.
No.
So do you not think that kind of contradicts the idea that we live on a globe?
Well, in the matter of scale,
Well, what scale do you think the physics would change where water then has, you know, the ability to bind together and hump up?
well, I think it's gravity, isn't
I'm
it?
going to say gravitational pull's got to be there as well. Surely that's what's
Well, it's
that's pulling us all down, isn't it?
It's a theory, innit? I mean, gravity's a theory, it's never been actually proven. The only way you need gravity is if you're trying to tell people that they're on a sphere and there's people upside down on the other side of the
Well,
the
yeah,
ball.
but you look at the guys that create the vacuum, the guys, the astronauts and everything. They carry that, when there's no gravity, they're floating. Yeah, I can't jump up in the air. Something pulls me back down again. It's my weight being pulled back down the ground again.
See, regardless of whether I say they're faking that or not, but people say this quite often about things, how they behave in a vacuum. But the fact of the matter is we don't live in a vacuum. we live in a pressurised, gaseous environment.
Yeah, yeah.
So, people equate, oh, look how it behaves in a vacuum. And I always go back to natural science and say, no, we live here. So how does liquids behave here on Earth? And when you look at that, I mean, it's pretty...
But also, I mean, you look at your tides
yeah.
are dictated by the moon and gravity. So it's
And the slop effect.
Would it be true to say that what you're saying is what we've been taught from childhood,
I think, yeah, oh, very much so.
but you've never had any practical experience of
I've
any of that?
never actually tried to create a tide myself. I've flooded a few bathrooms in the time, but I've not actually physically tried to create a tide.
If the moon's a quarter the size of the Earth and the moon's got the ability to pull our oceans, do you not think the Earth would pull the moon right into it?
Possibly it could do. One day it might do.
But you've never seen the Earth as a sphere with your own eyes, have you?
No, of course not.
No? You've never seen it with your own eyes as a sphere?
No.
No? So do you think some of these, secret institutions like NASA and the space agencies...
Why is the moon a sphere then?
Well, when I look at the moon and I look at the sun, I see a flat, circular shape. I don't see a sphere.
Oh, you can't, because you haven't got the ability to look at the sphere from where we are. It's still certainly a circle, isn't it? So it's
Well, it's circular. But again, that would be a fallacy. It's like saying, well, the pool balls are round, therefore the table's round. Would it not?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the term flat Earth?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
We've all heard of it.
Yeah. What do you think about that when you hear flat Earth? What's the image that comes to your mind?
Oh, prehistoric, heathen, uneducated people.
Aye. Well, that's what they told us, wasn't it?
That's what they told us.
Yeah. What kind of image would you get? If you were to picture it, in your mind, what image comes to you?
Oh, the same sort of people who believe in ghosts and God knows what. I mean, just...
But the image of the Earth, like the idea, a lot of people say, oh, where's the edge? Where's the edge? Do you think about, things like that when you say flat Earth? You think, oh, it's got an edge and you're going to fall off the edge?
Well, that's because we don't know, do we?
No. And if you look at flights to Canada, there are two ways you can fly to Canada from the UK. You can fly due east, or you can fly due north and over the top. That only works if you've got a circular Earth.
Well, if that was the case, I could go left and right, in every other direction. I mean, maps and compasses work flat and parallel.
You'd have to be on a true...
See, going back to what you said there about the flight, you know that they say the Earth spins at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator? You know that? So if I was to fly east, depending on what way the spin's going, and I was to fly them west back again, the time's the same. If there was an Earth rotating under me at 1,000 miles an hour, say I was at the equator, if I was to fly against that spin, surely I would get there in double time.
Well, yeah, you would think so.
But then they tell us that, oh, the air's like a big block of cheese and it moves with the Earth at the same rate.
I guess yeah, okay, well, yeah, there is pressure around. You know, you've got the ozone, what are the ozone layer? The actual.
According to Professor Brian Cox, when you wake up in the morning, you've travelled over 500,000 miles while you've been asleep.
Yeah. So they say the Earth's rotating at 1,000 miles an hour.
The Earth's rotating, it's spinning around the sun.
At 65,000 miles an hour.
The sun's spinning round the centre of the galaxy. The Milky Way is spinning round God knows what.
That liquid there looks absolutely still and motionless to me.
It's because I haven't had a sip of it. it will not remain in that state for long.
Have you ever felt the motion of the Earth? You ever experienced it moving?
I've felt gravity a few times when I've fallen over after too many of these. Like, you know, so yeah, you know.
What? See, I always bring this up to people. You know, a helium balloon.
Yeah.
Would you call that an anti-gravity device?
It's lighter than air, which is always important. Helium is lighter than air.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
So it's less dense.
It's like one of the things we were taught at school when I was a kid. Of course, it's sort of counterintuitive. Is that cream is lighter than milk,
yep.
And ice is lighter than water. Hence why cream floats and why ice floats.
Yeah, because the air
and
that's trapped.
Counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive.
It's because the air's trapped within the density of the substance.
Well, also partly because water reaches its densest at 4 degrees. It doesn't continue to get denser as it continues to drop below that. It's what keeps fish alive, for example. Because unlike when you heat water, you get the thermodynamic rotations and it all heats up. That works when you're cooling water until you hit 4 degrees, and then it doesn't. Because the water at 4 degrees is now as dense as water could get. So as it cools, the cooled water remains on top.
Do you think there's a possibility that the government's all lying to us?
I think I would be astonished if they weren't lying to us.
Well, this is the thing. But it's where do we draw the line? I mean, I ask people this and they know that the governments are corrupt and they tell lies. And yet when it comes to this question about would they lie about where we actually are existing right now, people seem to, you know...
But it wouldn't be just our government, though, would it?
No.
Because it would be every government in the world would have to sort of, you know, deny that, saying that the Earth's not round, like, you know. So, and I don't see any other.
They couldn't be in cahoots. They couldn't be in cahoots with each other.
I doubt it.
Have you ever heard of the Antarctic Treaty?
The Antarctic Treaty. It rings a bell somewhere.
I think it's, you know, I'm not going to, be exact on the figure, but, we'll say 50 nations.
Yeah.
50 nations work in unison, so...
About protecting the environment.
In the middle, they appear to all be at war with each other, and you would think they were separated and divided up, yet when it comes to this wee patch of ice, apparently, we're all friends and it's no problem. So I can see right there and then that, there's, these people could pull together and have us... running around in circles, believing in nonsense, while they perpetuate their control and their power. Do you think that's plausible? Do you think that's possible?
I think it's unlikely. I wouldn't say it was impossible. I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, we've all got...
I think North Korea would have broken ranks by now.
See, people say to me, everybody would have to be lying, everybody would have to be in on it.
Everybody would have to be lying.
Well, I wasn't lying. I believed it for 37 years of my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was lying about it. I would say that I was born into my culture, I was born into an education system that told me that.
Yeah.
Everybody else seemed to believe it and I went with it. Yeah. So it's like a cult.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I think I'm educated enough to make my own decision on that. And I still believe today that the Earth is still round and everything. It's until somebody can come and tell me it's different. Well, until somebody falls off the edge.
Why would you say there's an edge? Why does there have to be an edge?
Why? It's a sphere. There is no edge, is there?
Well,
it's a sphere, so there is no edge. You're just going to go on and on, around.
Isn't there a possibility then to what it could be? It has to have an edge.
Well, I'm sure that somebody's probably done somehow, somewhere, it's gone around the world, you know, in some
circumnavigated.
Yeah.
You can circumnavigate. You know, you can circumnavigate north to south all the way right round. It's never been done. No. So just to round it up, I don't want to keep you too much. You've been great for giving me your time. If I was just to ask you outright, you know, I'll say, you know, I take it you believe you live on a globe.
Yes.
Could I ask you what your number one reason is for believing that?
Education.
Your education.
My education, and I'm an adult. From my education, it's my understanding.
Right. So that's it. So it's basically hearsay. It's a belief system.
Well, I've got no other way of unless I circumnavigate the world myself and physically see it. It's unlikely to happen, isn't it?
If I says to you that, you know, being a scientist, a natural scientist, is in everybody's ability, you don't need a PhD or somebody to say so. So if I point to your everyday experience of liquid and how it behaves, would you trust your common senses and your everyday experience to tell you that, you know, that's not possible, or would you still go with what you've been told?
Unless I've been told differently or proven differently. Once it's been proven differently, then I will change my mind.
Is that no proof? I'm proving it that water's not got the ability to behave like that.
I'm still not convinced.
Right. How about yourself?
The horizon. The horizon for me is proof that we live on a sphere.
And you think the horizon's curved?
I know that the fact that I can only see 8 miles at sea level or something tells me that it's got to be curved, because otherwise it's just a bloody step. But I know there isn't a step, because I know France is just over there.
Well, if I come down
over there,
if I come down here in different days, depending on the conditions, I can see further than I can on other days. Other days I can see not as far. So it depends on atmospheric conditions, on how far we can see.
It does, but you can never see France.
You can. You can see France from Dover.
Only from the cliff tops. You have to be above sea level to be able to see France from Dover. And it does depend on the atmospheric conditions, because under the right conditions, light bends, which means that you can see further than you can do if in the prevailing conditions light is travelling in truly straight lines. So we know it doesn't.
So do you think, would you ever consider it or look into it? Do you think there's a possibility that we've been deceived?
No, I don't.
You think it's all kosher and
I think it's all kosher because there is certain evidence that I can see with my own eyes, and it might not be conclusive, but it's fairly persuasive.
Aye. How about yourself? You think you'll ever look into it?
Not unless somebody actually comes and provides some evidence for me to actually want to look into it. Yeah.
What if I says to you that there's a huge movement of people happening from all walks of life, from academia to the common man, who are now actively involved in this and pursuing it, trying to get the scientific community to sit up and actually address it?
You have the opportunity now, because you have Facebook, you have lots of social media where you can actually put your case out there.
Yeah.
And and in this country, nobody's going to stop you from doing something like that, putting it out there. So it's about you then putting that information out there to try and convince members of the public otherwise, and until I actually see some hard proof, then I'll change my mind. But
what kind of proof would you need?
You show me that it's a flat Earth.
Yeah.
You show me a picture of the Earth and how you think it is then.
Well, I would say, I don't know that it's possible to get a full picture.
Right.
See, this is the thing. We see these images that they give us. I'm sorry for keeping these here, but I'm just going to add this in.
Okay.
I always refer to natural science. I'm what you would call a direct realist. I have to see substance. It has to be measurable, testable and repeatable. So when somebody makes a claim to me that I live in an environment like a gaseous pressurised environment, and next to that environment there is a vacuum, I go to science, I go to everyday practical experience, engineering, things that we apply every day, and two opposing pressure systems require solid separation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how then would you believe that you live in a vacuum with no barrier next to a pressurised gaseous environment?
Well, yeah, okay. But again, you'd have to, the authority will just
Just
seeing
to-
it.
seeing it. I want to see it. I want to see
Aye,
it.
aye.
I want to see it.
Well, that's what I try and encourage people. You know, you've got your common sense faculties, your eyes, your senses. You can experience, like I'm saying, you're drinking a pint. You get up in the morning, you run a bath, you fill the kettle, you have a cup of coffee. Liquid always takes the shape of the container.
Yep.
It never conforms to the exterior in any shape, regardless of scale. You know. So you know. And the other point being, the stars don't really change. They're always fixed.
I guess so, yeah. I'm not an astronomer, but
Aye.
a number of times I've sat in my garden, especially this time of year, and
Stars aren't fixed.
They're no. Polaris is not in the same place every night.
Not. It is to practical purposes. It isn't actually precisely the same.
Well, see what you said earlier on, you understand the heliocentric model with the sun travelling, we spin round the sun.
Yeah.
You know, like, so if you're here, you know, at this side of the sun, and we're in summertime, 6 months' time you're now going to be on the other side of the sun, looking into a different night sky. But you don't see a different night sky, you see the same
You
night
don't
sky.
see a different night sky, which is why, since we're moving, the stars have to be moving too. Because otherwise, in winter we'd see the Southern Cross. That doesn't happen. You want to see the Southern Cross, you've got to Australia, New Zealand, or somewhere in the Southern Hemisphere anyway.
Yeah. Aye. But, you know, again, you know, the sky, the stars, they don't really gaze anything measurable about the shape of the earth that we're upon. Listen, guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope that he's looking into it and maybe something I've said triggered something to get your curiosity.
No, it's interesting.
Aye.
It's very interesting.
Excellent. Good
Thank
on you.
you.
Right,
Cheers, guys.
cheers, no problem.
Hey, easy, easy. Easy, Is the world a ball? No, is it flat? Aye, it's flat. Yes. Yeah, good girl. Who's that you've got? What you got? What you got? There you are here. He's that. He's that. Easy, dummy. What?